misnomer that Latinos want open borders. We want a secure border like all Americans. And we know what it leads to. Eduardo, who is the producer of Sound of Freedom, he has so much firsthand experience. So Eduardo, why don't you tell us about the movie and what we're facing with the immigration that the president's talking about?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, President, for your time. My name is Eduardo Verástegui, and I am very grateful to this nation for opening the door to my dreams. This nation has been such an amazing blessing in my life. God bless America. God bless Mexico, and God bless Hispanic America. And let's make America and Mexico and Hispanic America great again. Together, pro-life again, healthy again, and free again. I met these heroes 10 years ago in Los Angeles, California. Ex-Navy SEALs, ex-CIA agents, and they travel around the world undercover rescuing children. And when they told me in details what they do, in how they rescue these children, my eyes were open. And I said, I'm a filmmaker, I wanna make a movie about this, because the first step to eradicate child trafficking is to raise awareness. Because if you don't know that this problem exists, how you can fix it? So I made a promise to God that I will dedicate my entire life to end child trafficking. To end child trafficking. Because God's children are not for sale. Children are sacred. And I am very grateful with you, Mr. President, dear amigo, dear hermano, because of you hosting a private screening in your house, because of you endorsing Sound of Freedom. After that, Sound of Freedom became the #1 independent film in box office ever in history, produced by a Mexican producer. Thank you for that. Thank you for the incredible hard work you're doing. Thank you for putting the children first. And that's why it's so important, is for all the media, for all Mexican Americans, Hispanic Americans, to vote for President Trump. And I know we will win for the third time. For the third time. Yes. Yes. We will win for the third time. And that's a fact. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. Because it's true. Because it's true. Look what is happening right now. Look what is happening right now with these evil people. Obama, Hillary, Kamala, Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, all this team. There's more than 300,000 children, over 300,000 children that they came through the border, they released them, and we don't know where they are. Kamala, where are the children? Kamala, where are the children? You know, these people, Kamala and Biden, they're the biggest human traffickers in the history. And everyone knows that. And that's why I'm here to give my 100% to support my dear friend, President Donald Trump. And again, we will win for the third time. God bless you. God bless you, Mr. President.
Really nice. Thank you.
We need to put you in the White House back again, in the beautiful White House. You're going to be in the beautiful White House again.
You bring up something that people don't talk about, the press doesn't talk about. I think if it were on the other side, it would be one of the great scandals in history. It's actually 325,000 children are missing,
Wow.
sex slaves, slaves, or dead.
Yes.
One of those four things: slaves, sex slaves, missing or dead. And think of what 325,000, you know, we say it, it's a number, blah, blah, blah. I was talking to a reporter before, I said, 325,000. Oh, what else is new? He's going like, let's go to the next question. I'm saying to myself, can you believe it?
Wow.
A bad sort of a reporter, I told him he is. But think of it almost like, you know, like, let's get on with the interview. Think of what 325,000, we have religious leaders up here, think of what 325,000, how many times can you fill a nice big stadium like a Yankee stadium with with that, 325,000. They're missing. I think many of them are dead. Most of them possibly are dead. It's so sad. Our country is so sad. And then you wake up to the news that we've given the entire Israeli game plan to the enemy. Who could imagine this? Who could imagine this? I would say Israel's not too happy about that, right? But with all of this together, add it up, and I'm just so glad I bring it up, and it doesn't register. Maybe it registered better the way you said it, because, you know, you're such passion the way you said that. We are missing, during their regime, this stupid person that was the border czar. She was made the border czar. Now she said she wasn't. She was the border czar for 3.5 years, and now she said no. Whether she is or not, she was in charge of the border. That's loud and clear. She never once called the Border Patrol. The Border Patrol, by the way, 5 days ago endorsed me, which is something they're not even really supposed to do. And in endorsing me, they gave it a full-throated endorsement, but in endorsing me, they said how horrible she is. And it's not easy for them to say that. You know, this is the vice president of the country. They work for the country. They said the worst that they've ever seen. And, you know, they're great people. They're people that want to do their job. It's easier not to do the job, probably. Just let the people walk right into our country. They want to do the job. They love the country. They're incredible people. I've gotten to know them very well. And they said not one time, the question was asked by the fake news, how many times did she call? Not one call was ever made to any of them by either Biden or Kamala. Not one call about the border. And I actually think it's the biggest thing. You know, we talk about the economy and we talk about inflation. Let's put them together. But there's something about that border that's just really, really evil. The drugs, the human trafficking, you know, it's not just people pouring through, it's the human trafficking, and they traffic in women mostly. It's mostly women, believe it or not, as much as we talk about the 325,000, but women still have the big edge. They traffic in women and children, and they do it at levels that, by the way, 4 years ago, it's always bad. If you do one person, it's bad. But this is 15 or 16 times the number. Nobody checks. Nobody does anything. You know how you check? You go and open the trunk of a car. That's how they put them mostly in trunks of cars. How would you like to be a woman, a little girl, a little boy, in the trunk of a car? That's how they find them. A lot of times they're dead because of the heat. They drive through. By the time they get to the destination, they open the trunk and they're dead. And this horrible, incompetent person has allowed this to happen, and never one time called anybody from the Border Patrol. They work for her, and they work for him, and then they complain about a bill. It's a phony deal. It's a scam. There's no bill. I never had a bill. All you have to do as president, wake him up and say, Joe, we need you to say close the border. That's what I did.
That's right.
I just said we're closing the border. He keeps talking about, they keep bringing up a phony bill. The bill was horrible. 2 million people are allowed in. It was a horrible bill, stupid bill, but has nothing to do. As president, you have it's called extreme power. You have extreme power. You can, just by the fact you say, close the border, and the border's closed. That's it. Very, very simple. You don't need all of this nonsense that they talk about. But the truth is, for some reason, and I can't figure it out, for some reason they want open borders. Nobody's been able to tell me why. I don't think they can tell you why. They just want open borders. So we have to win the election. I'm so glad you brought up, you said 300, but the number's actually 325. I'll give you a number that's really bad too. So the Border Patrol, because they've had it, they've never done this before, they released a list of criminals in our country. And they really are tremendously good if you let them do the job like I let them do the job. We have 13,099, exactly, 13,000 during their term. They tried to say, oh, this is over 40 years. No, this is during their 3.5 year that they've been there. 13,099 murderers. These are murderers. These are people that were in prison, and they're murderers. Some are up for the death penalty, but some killed far more than one person. 13,099, it's the exact number. Every one of them has been released into the United States of America. Then you have the drug lords and the drug dealers. There are thousands of them. Then you have the traffickers, the human traffickers. These are people that largely were in jail, caught. Then you have the gang members. These are people that weren't in jail, but they ruled the cities. They ruled the cities, the gangs, they ruled them. You don't have them, Christie and Durrell, for the most part. If you did, you'd do something about it very quickly. We're lucky. But these are gang members that are so violent. And you see it's happening in Aurora, in Colorado, where you have a governor who's a radical left governor who's petrified of the whole situation. And they have military-style weapons. They have weapons that are of military quality. Somebody said it might be a step up. It's called a Supreme, a military Supreme. They have weapons, and they're taking over apartment complexes and everything. These gangs come from Venezuela largely. What's happening to our country is it's so crazy. Nobody would think it. I mean, you sit here and you're just amazed. As you speak, you get angrier and angrier because it's so simple and it's so obvious, and everyone knows it's true, and nobody does anything about it. All they think about is transgender operations. All they think about is we want men to play in women's sports. You know, I've never met a person, because I'm a sports guy, I've never met a person that came up to me and they say, we want men to play in women's sports. Somehow they're pushing it. Has anyone here ever met? I've been doing this a long time, and I've been talking about this for a while, because I'm ending it on day one. I'm ending it on day one. And we, despite a whole web of things, we wouldn't accept it, but we're going to just end it. But has anyone ever had anyone, I mean, you have all these great politicians up here. Carlos, has anyone come up to you and say, we insist on having men play in women's sports? I saw a volleyball match this weekend where a man who transitioned, this is the way, I'm very politically correct now because, you know, you lose in politics if you say slightly off. A man who transitioned into, congratulations, a woman, hit a ball. He was like 4 feet up in the air. He smashed a ball so hard that these young ladies that were all top players, they said, we've never seen anything. They hit her on the head. And, you know, people have been very badly hurt in that sport and in other sports. Swimming, the records, it's ridiculous. The records are being broken by numbers that nobody's even thought possible. The greatest is weightlifting. You see weightlifting records. Take a look at some of these records where a record that stood for 18 years and they'd put an eighth of an ounce and an eighth of an ounce and and you know, these guys are walking in and breaking it. It's so sick that you actually say they hate our country. But think, has anybody approached you and say, we want to really fight hard so that men can play in women's sports? I don't think so. So there's a sickness going on in our country. We have to end the sickness. And we have to start, because she's a radical left. You know, she was one of the leaders, the one I'm running against. You're all running against somebody, but the one I'm running against, she was in favor of defund the police. She was one of the starters of defund. Now, once you have that ideology, even for a week or a day, you shouldn't be president. Because if you want defund the police, even for a day, you shouldn't be president. And she was one of the leaders. So,
Mr. President?
So I just want to leave it at that.